Good morning, everyone. My name is Alyssa. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to be your host for today. Today's session is led by Caverly Morgan. Caverly Morgan is the founder of Presence Collective, a community of diverse teachers and practitioners from diverse wisdom traditions and diverse backgrounds, all dedicated to collective liberation and to social justice. She is also the founder of Peace in Schools, which created the nation's first for-credit mindfulness course in public high schools. She spent part of her training in 8 years in a silent Zen monastery and now does Zen and non-dualism. Today's session, she will be leading us through a 30-minute guided meditation, and at the end, we will have time for a Q&A. At that time, if you have a question, you can use the button below to ask a question, or you can use the chat box to request to come on screen. At that time, I can do the tech work to bring you on screen. Before I bring Caverly Morgan on, I have a few announcements. First, thank you to Sangha Live for hosting us, for being this platform. All your donations go to supporting Sangha Live, supporting the tech work, and to supporting the teacher. So if you're able to, please consider making a donation today using the green button below. Some announcements on behalf of Presence Collective. Caverly does Wednesday night sits every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. PST. It's a similar format to today, but it's a more intimate group. So if you have more questions and answers, if you want to meditate more with Caverly, you can join us then there. Also, we have Presence Collective does Thursday webinars every Thursday at 2 p.m. PST. So we have different teachers every week. This week is Dr. Sarah King, along with Rashid Hughes, who is the founder and the leader of Heart Refuge in DC. Next week will be Michelle Cassandra Johnson, the author of Skill in Action. The week after is Latifa, who will be one of the teachers on retreat. We will be hosting a summer retreat, which I will talk about in a bit. But if you're interested in learning about this retreat and getting a taste of some of the teachings of another teacher, you can join us there. And the week after is by someone named Lanisha Duke. So this retreat I'm talking about is July 26th to the 31st, and it will be an online retreat this year because of all that is happening. And we have 4 different teachers. We have Caverly, someone named David, Suniti, and Latifa that I mentioned. These teachers all bring different wisdom traditions, and we've come up with something that will work for people in different time zones and kind of be the experience of how do we bring a retreat experience to our own homes. So I will drop the links to all of these events in the chat box, and always feel free to email me at alyssa@presencecollective.org if you have any questions. I will bring Caverly on screen now.
Alyssa, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your willingness coming on so early. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to you later today. Hi, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's really nice to be here. It's really nice to see you saying hello on the sidebar. I brought you all some new roses and actually new pottery from Richard Brandt. So Richard Brandt of Heartfire Sanctuary, if you want to look him up. I'm a huge fan of his work, and Richard's work goes beyond pottery, so check that out. But I'm just quite fond of these 2 new vases that I've inherited, and quite happy to share them with you. And these are 2 different roses from our garden, so welcome. I would love to hear more than just where you're calling in from or what the weather is in order to shape today's teaching. I have a few things that arose for me regarding possibilities for what we might focus on today. But again, I'd love to be influenced by what's alive for you. So if you would, in the chat bar, welcome if you're new. If you're new, often I'll pause before the half an hour meditation and invite you to just type a little something in that in that sidebar that acknowledges what you're present to now or what's alive for you now. Hi, Carolyn from Cambridge. Oh, thanks for acknowledging your appreciating the sharings. As many people have heard me say, I am so appreciative of this community. I'm very, very much, I'm just filled with gratitude for your presence and your dedication. So many of you show up every day, and I appreciate that commitment. So yes, I agree, John and Nancy. Weekends have a different feel and flavor now, especially during this COVID time. And I do over the weekend, I feel the absence of this Sangha gathering. So what's alive for you this morning? What's here now? What are you noticing about your experience of the moment? What's present for you? Perhaps something that you notice in the body. Perhaps something you notice in the mind. Perhaps something you notice in the energetic system. Grief. Gratitude. Deep humility that is growing. For me at this time, it's not comfortable, as it's starting to show the extent of the egos holding on. Finding that time goes so fast, wanting to slow it down. Good morning. Love to do some other grounding practices to start off the week. Feeling a little unsettled and unfocused. Yes. Deeper trust in the guide of intuition. Confusion about everything. Thank you. Something to settle me down would be lovely. Well, friends, this is not the practice I was planning on bringing in this morning, but I actually think it would be a lovely one to do. So I'm going to offer it. This practice, I'm going to offer a breath practice. This breath practice can be something that you do when there's anxiety present, when you're feeling unsettled, when you recognize that many people have actually reported to me that they feel tremendous benefit from this breath practice when they notice the onset of a panic attack. No one reported panic attack, but I heard, grounding, unsettledness, unfocused. So I would like to, and the confusion piece as well that was named. And moving from a different place comes from feeling grounded in presence. So again, the time that this can be particularly grounded, this breath practice, is when you feel tremendous anxiety, maybe even a panic attack coming on. Though I will acknowledge it's useful when you become present to low-grade fear as well. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic experience. I have a few times, for those of you who are regulars here, I have acknowledged the chakra system. If you're new today, please know that I'm not inviting you to take on a particular belief system. I refer to the chakras as simply different energy centers in the body. And most often in a context like this, especially given that there's some new people coming in each day, I refer to these 7 main energy centers of the body. So there's an energy center at the base of the spine, the first chakra. There's an energy center right below the navel, the second chakra. First chakra, the seat of identity, the root chakra, how we're connected to the physical plane. Second chakra, the seat of emotions, our feeling radar. When you walk in a room and something feels off and you're not sure what just happened, you sense, I think people in this room were just arguing. That's the second chakra picking that up, emotional center. The third chakra is right where the ribs come in together to touch. The third chakra is the will center. How our actions manifest in the world. Fourth chakra, the place of possibility and unconditional love and acceptance. The fourth chakra, I like to acknowledge, isn't just about love. Yeah, it's the place of possibility. So when the heart chakra is attenuated, we feel cut off from a sense of possibility. Fifth chakra is right at the center of the throat. This is how we express who we see ourselves to be to the world. So this is another place of identity, but it's very linked to communication. So when it's closed down, maybe we can't stop talking, or perhaps we feel shut down in our capacity to express ourselves. Just this is a broad brushstroke of these chakras. The sixth chakra is right at the center of the forehead. That's the place of seeing, clear seeing. When there's some closure in the sixth, we easily get stuck in right, wrong thinking, dualistic thinking, good, bad, this, that. The seventh chakra is the place of faith and belief. It's located at the crown of the head. When the seventh chakra is attenuated, we feel cut off from a sense of what's larger than the individual ego. So Spencer, you were pointing to that this morning, that you're pointing to something that's something that can involve many chakras, but specifically the seventh. So a word of caution before we move into a breath practice that involves the chakras. It's important to me to acknowledge, and I don't think I did this the last time I brought in a energetic breath practice, that in spiritual circles, there can be an emphasis on opening up the upper chakras. Those are the quote unquote spiritual chakras. I always like to dismantle that when I remember to. In fact, we need our connection to this physical plane to be open and solid and coming, grounded. Otherwise, we don't take form in this way. So I always underline the value of balance within the chakra system, not the value of opening up particular ones. Look for balance. So this, I want to acknowledge that I learned this practice from Walter McKitchen. And if you have any questions can arise from it, we'll have time at the end of the call for you to bring your questions into the call. Hopefully someone might be willing to come on screen and we'll chat. You can also bring your questions to tomorrow or even the next day, but please bring your questions forward. I often only offer this practice in contexts where I know people have access to me again, easy access to me again. And these calls are that place right now in terms of what I'm offering. So please take note of your questions and bring them forward. The reason I mentioned where each chakra is because we're going to be sipping breath in through each chakra. If you have never done a chakra meditation before, this will likely feel clunky and even somewhat difficult because it takes attention to place the attention. It requires something to place the attention in each chakra. If you're new and you're not used to focusing on them in this way. For those of you who have done chakra practices before, this will feel more easeful. I offer that because I would like to encourage you to be gentle with yourself. If it feels incredibly clunky today, don't write this practice off. Just know that it takes some time, some repetition with the practice for you to feel easeful with it. We're going to be sipping breath into each chakra. So I'm going to sip into the first, sip into the second, sip into the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. And if you're new to working with the chakras, using your hands can be really helpful to ground the attention. So you place your hand at the front of the base of the spine, right at the genitals. Then you place the other hand right below the navel. Then the hand where the ribs come in together to touch. Then the hand at the heart, hand at the throat, hand at the center of the forehead, hand at the crown of the head. So we're going to sip breath in. I'm going to do it very slowly. Once we get into a rhythm, you'll feel yourself able to go more quickly. But I'd be sipping breath. And then I intentionally release the same breath through puffs. And I'm going to puff down the chakra system in the same order. So I went 1 through 7. Now I'm going to go 7 down to 1. So I'm not jumping about. I'm going. So I've always just called this sips and puffs. It's like Puff the Magic Dragon or something. The Magic Dragon, that's more exotic. We call this the Magic Dragon breath. But there's sips and puffs of air. And you will practice it together. And then again, pay close attention to how you feel now. I've already asked you to bring attention to what's here now. And then notice after we practice this for a bit and then move into silence in the sit. For today, I'm going to keep things really simple since this practice arose. We'll do the practice, the breath practice, and then we'll fall into silence. And then we'll move into question answer. If there's anything to clarify now, please go ahead and write that in the sidebar or in the question box. Just want to make sure folks are on the same page as we move into this. And just to underline again, as you get used to this, the pace will pick up for you. I'm going to start a little more slowly. Oh, do we need to breathe through the mouth? Good question, Jonathan. No, not at all. Actually, Jonathan, thank you. I really appreciate that you asked that. it is through the mouth for this practice. I'm really glad you asked that clarifying question. There's so many breath practices I do that could go either way. This is a sipping through the mouth and then a puffing through the mouth. Very glad you asked that. I had to do it myself to get clear about that. But you can't puff in the same way. There's something about the puffing that you can't get the same quality through the nose. So, and thank you, Christine. The sips are all part of one deep breath. The sips, and that's okay if when you're learning this, it feels clunky and it's like you do half the breath and then you have to get more air and then it's okay. But no, I'll model it again. So this is one inhale. This is one exhale. Sips in, puffs out. Sips, one exhale, puffs sips, one inhale, puffs, the same breath, exhaling. So inhale, exhale. That was one round. Chakra 1 through 7. If you forget and you want to practice this later today, if you just Google 7 major chakras, there's some variations sometimes, but it should be the case that you'd get the placement for 1 through 7. Or you can watch this recording again soon. Sips and puffs, particularly useful for grounding, practicing as you feel anxiety arise. Very, very useful. Many people have reported to me that this is the most effective thing they do when they feel a panic attack coming on. Okay, let's give it a try. And then again, I'd love to hear from you after this practice. We'll do this for a bit and then we'll move into silence. I'll start a little more slowly than I normally would go. Just FYI, I normally would do this pace. That's the pace that I would do. I have done that before when I've been just about to walk out onto a stage and there are hundreds of people in the audience. This is a practice that I've done in that circumstance, and that would be the pace that I would do it. I'm going to start slower than that since I imagine most of you have not done this practice before. This isn't a popular practice. It's not something you can Google. A mentor shared it with me. It's been really useful in my life, and now I share it with you. And if you share it wisely in your life, it does have specific energetic effect. So again, I offer it in this context because I know that you as the viewer can access me after this for question. But I normally actually wouldn't just toss it out on the internet. All right, friends. Thank you. Look forward to hearing how this is for you. Before we move into practicing with this clearing breath, take note again of what's here now. There's no right or wrong answer to that question, just see what's here now. And then take 3 of the longest and deepest inhalations and exhalations you've taken yet today. And then just in case there's someone new to working with the energy centers of the body, just begin this practice by touching each major energy center so that you're grounding your attention there. The breath being focused on each energy center is what makes this practice effective. So first, just take a breath in and out of the first chakra. So placing your hand at the front of the spine, right at the genitals. Just inhale and exhale in the first chakra. Place the next hand right below the navel, the second chakra. Breathe in and out as if the breath were coming in and out of the hand. Place a hand at the third chakra, where the ribs come in together to touch. One breath in and out from the third. Place a hand right at the fourth chakra. In and out. From the fourth. Place a hand right at the fifth chakra. Breathing in and out of the throat. So focusing on the chakra while you breathe. Breathing in and out of the sixth chakra, breath coming in through the back of the hand. Filling the center of the head, filling the whole head, and then exhaling from the whole head. And then breathing in and out of the seventh. So space above the crown of the head, touching the crown of the head, breathing. Next, we're going to be sipping breath in. Just a little sip of breath in each energy center. It's as though you're kind of locking it up at the seventh chakra, and then with some oomph, you're puffing it out. It's got a little kick to it. You're expressing the breath from each chakra. So a little sip. It's got this practice has a sense of vigor to it. It's enlivening and grounding. So it's not just, it's not gentle wave-like. It's pointed. It's got kick, it's got fire to it. Okay. We're going to start slowly, and you can place your hand on each chakra as you breathe in. So take a breath in, breath out, always moving from the first to the seventh and then seventh to the first. Sipping breath in, starting at the first. Puffing out. Sipping in. Puffing out. Sipping in. Three more times. Last time. Allowing the breath to return to normal, Noticing the effects of that practice on the body and the mind and the energetic system. As you fall into silence, as you settle into stillness. Simply noticing. Simply being. Thank you, friends. Alyssa, thank you for posting those links in the sidebar. Upcoming events, upcoming teachers from Presence Collective, and then that summer retreat. Now's a great time to sign up for that summer retreat, friends. We're trying to get a sense of how many people will be joining us so we can fine tune what we're offering. I want to open it up for questions. Before I do, a reminder to please donate to support Sangha Live and this platform and these teachings if you can. The green button is below, and we can only continue with your support. I so appreciate that this platform doesn't charge anyone, just trusting that all will work out if we continually invite support through donation on a donation basis. So what did you notice? Perhaps if there are no burning questions, we could just start with a few words or a phrase in the sidebar. What are you present to having done that breath practice? And again, if this was your first time doing that, and I'm guessing that it was actually all of your first time, unless you've practiced with me in the past, it likely, Spencer, you just named it, felt clunky at first because it takes some practice to place the attention in each chakra. So hang with this, give it some time, practice it until it comes easily. Jane, love the chakra breathing, felt calmly euphoric and energized. Lovely. Thank you for writing that in. Kiki, good morning, Caverly and friends. I really enjoyed the sip and puff chakra practice. Is there a name for it? You know, it occurred to me during the sit that perhaps we should call it the grounding dragon breath for working with anxiety. In my own mind, I've always nicknamed it sips and puffs. I feel as if psychological cobwebs, oops, just lost your question. Let's see. Kiki, your question just disappeared. I don't know what happened. It's Kiki, I apologize. There was something about psychological cobwebs disappearing, which I have that experience too. And I'm sorry that I don't see where your question just went. But thank you for writing in. Yes, Spencer, your hands sometimes got confused as to where they were going. Again, for some of you, you might realize that placing the hands in that way is actually not supportive. Most people report to me that it grounds the attention in the specific chakra and therefore does feel supportive, but it's not required. Okay, at first it seemed too fast for me to follow what you're doing. That's very understandable. You don't have to go that fast. If you, as you practice this, it will likely get faster, faster than I did today. But speed isn't a requirement. The reason it's nice to get the rhythm going so that it's got a little bit of a quick pace to it is because then you're not taking several breaths. It's really just one full inhale, one full exhale. So practice with this now that you know it. Find the pacing that allows for you to have one inhale and one exhale. Yeah. But it's intentionally, as I said, it's not sort of wave-like and slow. That's intentional. It's like you're zipping the energy up and then releasing the energy with a sense of energized. It's energized. Christine, breath practice clunky for sure. Yeah, still powerful. At first it made me realize I don't know where I am in space, but then I felt really spacious and calm and more resonant with the here and now. Beautiful. And I can't underline enough. Once you practice, if you were to practice this every day, even for 10 minutes every day, you would get to the point quickly where it felt easeful. And getting beyond that clunkiness is important for really feeling the effects of the practice. Yeah, Kiki, I feel as if psychological cobwebs have been dusted from my psyche. I felt euphoric and invigorated. It was wonderful, and I didn't think it was grounding until after I settled down into silence. Yes, it doesn't. That's a good point, Kiki. The felt sense of grounding is a byproduct. Yeah, it's really a clearing practice. Would the sip be the front body and the puff be the back body? No, thank you for asking, John and Nancy. It's full body in, full body out. So that's helpful. The touching in the front of the body is only to place the attention with the chakras. It's good to acknowledge the sipping is coming in from all directions. The puffing is going out in all directions. Thank you very much for asking that. Not just about the front body. Yeah, Jonathan felt the same as Kiki mentioned, more energetic, bubbling. Lovely. Great. Okay, well, I see that we're just a minute over, friends. Please, Carolyn, how lovely to all be breathing together across the globe. It's such a good point, Carolyn. Something very important about that. Very connecting. Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, it really supports us in touching in with that connection that's inherent. Again, thank you. And friends, thank you. As I mentioned, that wasn't a practice I came in planning to bring, but I very much appreciate getting to share that one with you. And please follow up with any questions at any point in time as we continue these meditations. As I said, it's very important to me that I offer a practice like that within a context in which you can get feedback, ask questions, talk about anything that might come up for you. And just to end with underlining, if it was clunky at all, that's natural. It takes time just to place the attention in each chakra. So I guarantee you, if you practice this every day, even for 5 or 10 minutes, you will feel some ease come with it. And then you'll really be more in touch with just the effects, the byproduct effects of the practice. So give it a go. Thank you so much, friends. And I'll see you tomorrow.